See, green juice is basically a salad, but you remove the only part that actually helps. Today I'm gonna destroy 2 myths about the green juice that may be costing your health, and I'm gonna show you why green juice might actually be doing more harm than a soda. And at the end, I'm gonna give you the only green juice that actually makes sense. And I'm willing to bet you already have it in your kitchen. So green juice has this reputation of being almost miraculous. It's natural, it's vegetables, it's detox. Many people treat it almost like liquid medicine. But today I want to analyze it with structure. First, let's understand what's happening in your body when you have diabetes. Imagine that your muscle is the entrance to a parking lot. In a healthy person, this entrance has an automatic gate that reads the license plates and lets the car in quickly. They move through without any problem. The cars are glucose, so glucose arrives and it gets used. But in someone with type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance is represented by this little guy. The automatic gate is not working, so there's this whole security guard checking every car one by one. So he takes his time, he writes things down in a notebook, and the whole system is very slow. This old guard represents the intramuscular fat that makes it harder for glucose to actually enter the muscle cells. Now imagine that suddenly there's a big sporting event at 6 in the evening and 100 cars arrive all at the same time. This old guy right here can't keep up. So then a long line forms outside the parking lot, which basically is your bloodstream. That's a glucose spike. But what if those same 100 cars arrive throughout the day? Maybe 10 cars every single hour. That old guard can work calmly, even if it's a slow old guard. There is no chaos and no massive spike. Fiber in food does exactly this. It slows down the release of glucose so that it enters the bloodstream gradually instead of all at once. Now think about what a green juice actually is. My favorite recipe is spinach, celery, cucumber, pineapple, and maybe an apple, some oranges. And this is a lot of fiber. This is good. This is 9 grams of fiber for 150 calories. The thing is that you either blend it and then you strain it through a sieve, leaving all of the fiber behind, or even if you use a juicer that automatically separates the juice and the fiber, and then you throw out the fiber. In both cases, you remove the fiber. You remove the part that actually made the glucose arrive gradually. So what you're left with is basically sugar water with vitamins that gets absorbed very quickly. In practical terms, it's basically a liquid multivitamin with sugar. One patient once told me, I drink green juice with spinach, pineapple, and celery every morning for breakfast. Why am I not losing weight? So when I asked her to stop straining the juice and instead eat those same vegetables inside actual meals with protein and fiber and the full fiber intact, her fasting glucose dropped 15 points in 3 weeks without changing anything else. Let me be real with you. A multivitamin costs around 50 cents a day and it has 0 calories and it gives you the same vitamins. All the ingredients that make the green juice cost around $4 and it has around 150 calories from simple sugar that you separated. And somehow you have the illusion that you're doing something good for your diabetes. So which one makes more sense? Now, when I say this, someone at some point is usually going to tell me, hey, but green juice is natural. Unlike these multivitamins that are made in a lab. That's the typical response that I hear from someone that's been blinded by the natural health marketing. Natural does not mean that it's therapeutic. And green juice isn't even as natural as people think. You processed fruits, you blended it, you filtered it, you removed all the structure. Honey is natural and it also spikes your blood sugar. To make this clearer, let's use whole wheat flour as an example. It's processed, yes. The wheat goes through machinery and removes all the fiber. They leave the plain flour alone and then they put the fiber back in. It's kind of dumb. It's not artisanal. And many people avoid it just because of that. But because it's a whole grain, it keeps all of the fiber of the wheat. So nutritionally, it can be far better for someone with diabetes than a natural green juice where you remove the fiber. For the same 150 calories, this ground processed whole wheat flour has 4.5 grams of fiber. And your juice that you process and filter has 0 grams of fiber. The point I'm trying to make is that it's not about how romantic the food sounds. The point is how it behaves in your body. A processed food with a strong fiber structure can be much more useful than something natural that's loaded with simple sugar or excess fat. fat. Natural does not always mean good. Now let's move to the practical part. If your intention with the green juice was to eat more fruits and vegetables, that's great. But instead of drinking a green juice on an empty stomach like it's some kind of magic ritual, I want you to do something much smarter. I'm gonna give you the ingredients of my favorite green juice, and it's something that I eat almost every week without fail. So the ingredients are this: tomatillos, jalapeno peppers, onions, garlic, zucchini, and cilantro. You boil them, you blend them like the green juice, you add some salt, and you don't strain the fiber because it's not necessary for flavor here, and that's it. Now you have blended vegetables and fruits poured on top of tacos, tostadas, or stews. Man, a salsa is basically the same idea as a green juice, but now you're not removing the fiber. You're using it as a part of a complete meal. It's no longer some sugar liquid here in your system by itself. It becomes part of a structured plate that includes protein, fiber, and context. So green juice isn't magical. It's basically an incomplete salad being sold as a solution. So if you're gonna eat vegetables, eat them whole. Even if you blend them, don't remove the fiber. So if you want to improve your diabetes, reduce body fat, and organize your meals properly, you don't need some fasting ritual. You need structure. So if you want to learn how to structure complete meals with the right portions of rice, beans, proteins, and sauces so your glucose improves without relying on trends like green juice, that's exactly what we do at burningglucose.com. And now the interesting question becomes this: if green juice isn't necessary, which breakfast actually makes sense for someone with diabetes? That's what we'll cover in this next video over here.